So this is DBS on a budget, episode 7, black cards. So first off, a little bit of flex right quick. Bang. Got my Herons Lineage. So the girls are here. Waifu tax is real. So that's definitely a good card to invest in. Just because it's a cool looking card, definitely worth having as a collector, but also it is actually a good card. In general, it's basic, right, generic in how it works. You pay 1 energy, and then you get the active battle ability of taking a 7 cost or less battle card. And since it's active battle, clearly you can use it on your opponent's turn. So it's obviously the best time to use it on your opponent's turn when they try to go for game, and you use this to steal the game, steal victory for them, right? So definitely a good card to put in any deck. It's pretty much the only SCR you'll need, as they say, right? Because it's generic, so you can play it in any deck as you're one of. It's an extra card, so there's benefits to that. And we'll get to that soon. Right now, Awakened Warrior Barak. Overwhelm for 4. 20. He's a 20k, and he becomes double strike when you overwhelm him. So, classic card. Definitely been using this for years, and definitely a go-to card when I need a surprise finisher. When I apply enough pressure and put my opponent in a position where they're tapped out, they have no more energy to play negates and stuff like that, and they have low hand size, and then I just drop this for free, right? Overwhelm, swing, stump my hand, try to go for game. And I've won a lot of times with this back in the day, so definitely a good card. And it definitely still puts in pressure. I mean, still puts in work, is what I meant to say. Still puts in work. Definitely put in work. Last event that I was at, using this in my Gohan deck. So he still does what he does. Plus, I'm a Bardock fan, so any Bardock. I like Bardock cards. Alright, so the thing is, you gotta remember, it's that it's free. You don't pay energy to play him, so that's what makes him such a really good card. Because that way you can use your energy for other things. Now we have Mirror Creator Resorb, which also is overwhelm 4, but you actually do pay 1 energy. But it makes sense, it's worth it, right? You're paying for the extra power this card provides you. It has deflect, so that's a good thing going for it. And then second auto, when this card attacks, this card gains 5k power for the duration of the turn for each card in your warp. So if you just warp 4 cards to bring him out, that's an extra 20k to his attack, so that makes him a 50k. So he's a 50k at least, right? At minimum, he's a 50k, and give him double strike. It'd be a 50 to 60k, double striker, which is really, really good when you're going for game. So he lets you go tall really easily, and the more cards you put into your drop when you overwhelm, the better, right? Because if he's 50k with just 4 cards, then imagine if you have 20 cards, right? Let's do a little quick math. Yeah, good. Do the calculator right there. Still trying to get used to this Windows 10. Alright, so 20 cards. Right? 20 times 5,000. That's the power. 100,000. That should have been simple enough. 100,000 to his 30k, so he'll be 130k. So he'll be 130k, swinging. And, throw in double strike, and, can finish your opponent off if they have 2 life. But if they only have 1 life, then all you need to do is just go tall for 1 single attack, right? So that's pretty badass. So definitely a must-have, because you never know when you might want to create a strategy where you can easily get a whole bunch of cards in your drop, especially like 20 plus cards in your drop, overwhelm, and then bang, now you got something that's like 100k, 200k, swinging at your opponent, so you don't have to worry about your opponent out comboing the attack. What you have to worry about is blockers, active battle abilities. He is a 7-drop, so obviously Herons Lineage can steal him in the turn, so that can be a problem you have to worry about because he doesn't have barrier. But as long as you make sure your opponent's tapped out and don't have blockers, the stand threat, this card greatly increases your chances of his attack going through, which is awesome, and you don't have to put too much effort into getting him to work. Then we have Fu, the Dark Banisher. Has 25k with triple attack, so you know what they say, if first you don't succeed, try again. He has Overwhelm 8, so you have to have twice the amounts of cards in your drop than the other ones in order to play, but and you have to pay 4 energy, so it's a turn 4 play. But as the permanent, your opponent can't activate skills unless they choose one card from their hand and it sends it to the warp, which is really nice. It forces your opponent to lose hand size every time they trigger an effect trying to stop this card, especially if this card is attacking multiple times. Every time you attack, your opponent reacts with an effect, with a skill, they lose a card. So that greatly reduces their hand size, which in turn enhances your hand size. Because to me, your opponent's hands getting smaller is the same thing as your hands getting bigger, right? So effects that make your opponents lose cards in the hands, it's the same thing as if you drew cards. That's the way I look at it. And then we got S's Bardic, the Tenacious, Overwhelm 6, so you need 6 cards in the drop, and you pay 1 black, specifically black energy. Although when you play this card using Overwhelm, your opponent can only attack with battle cards once during their next turn, so it has a floodgate effect. And second auto, when this card is played, you can't play extra copies of him the next turn, so can't play him every single turn, even if you have a loop that lets you get him back every turn. You can only play him every other turn, but he's still good, and that one turn is more than enough. The fact that you could play him, swing with him, and if you don't manage to go win in that turn that you played him, at least making your opponent's turn harder for them to go wide and beat you. They have to go tall to try to beat you. So that's pretty nice that it has a built-in defense. See how he's crossing his arms? Wakanda forever. Then we have Umbral Invitation Toa. She's Dark Overwhelm. I wish she was just regular Overwhelm, but she's Dark Overwhelm, so you gotta have a minimum. She's Realm 4, so you have to have a minimum of 4 black cards in your drop. You pay 1 energy to play her, and then auto, when you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 3 or less and gain control of it. Now what's really nice about it, she just says when you play this card, which means you don't have to Overwhelm, but why not Overwhelm, right? Why not play it for free? That you can get a free 15k buy on board, plus take your points 3 costs or less, plus use your energy for other things. That's what's nice. There's options. That's what I'm saying. There's options, so it's a really good card. There's one that you evolve that has like Xeno EX Evolve or something like that, where you can take 6 or less. So that's good, obviously, against Dark Broly, right? But it's you have to evolve, so there's things. Not a bad card, just I like to make things simple. The other one, if I'm right, you have to evolve in order to get the effect. So this you just have to play and get the effect. So it's a really good card to have. Definitely been thinking about putting this in Hachiak just because it's, I could, it's not too hard to do the Overwhelm thing, but I could just, Hardcaster for 4 and take one of my points, 3 cost or less battle cards, especially if it's a blocker. It's always good. So that way, every time I get a copy of it, I can just be like, bang, play it, steal something. I'm still waiting for a card that lets me bounce, a black card that lets me bounce my cards back to my hand. My battle cards back to my hand, because we all know what I can do with that busted stuff. Alright, so we have black Mustang Splintering Mine. He has the auto that when you play him, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards and send it to warp, which is good. And of course, it sends anything to the warp, so that can obviously be used against Dark Broly. Then we have the second auto, Sparking 7. If you have 7 or more cards in your drop, when this card attacks, if your leader card is black, you may choose 2 cards in your life, send it to the warp. And if you do, choose one of your opponent's life and send it to the warp. So this is a way you can burn your opponent for game. So it's definitely a good card to have, especially in black. Gotta have some way to burn to bypass defenses, right? Shenron figure Majesty has 3 really good effects. Active main once per turn, Sparking 5, so you have to have 5 or more cards in your drop in order to activate this card's effect. You draw a card, then you choose one of these abilities. Untap 2 of your energy, or choose a battle card with energy cost 2 or less for your drop and play it, or choose your leader card or one of your battle cards, and it gains 5k power and critical for the turn. So 3 really good effects. I typically just use the battle card ability. Use it to bring back a blocker, for example, and just use the blocker over and over and over and over again. So that's always an option. So really good card. Definitely like using it. Hachiak. But I haven't been using it lately, but it is definitely a good card in Hachiak. I've had a lot of fun with it. But being able to untap 2 energy is really nice. Because that lets you make plays, and then that lets you make plays and still be able to be defensive. So you can tap energy to play stuff, and then untap 2 energy, so that you at least have 2 energies for your 1 energy negates and stuff. So a lot of good synergy there. This card is generic in general. I said using a Hachiak, but clearly you can use this in any other deck. Because something you could do is pay 4 to play this, then do the ability to untap 2 energies. That way, you can use the 2 energies to defend yourself, obviously, right? To play negates. And then the following turn after that, that's when you start just putting in more work, using the card to put in more work. Where you can start playing stuff, battle cards 2 costs or less for free from your drop, especially if what you're playing over and over again from your drop is like a super combo. Yeah, for those who like that, right? Bring back the super combo and just every turn, super combos every turn. So this card is very, very versatile. It's great. It's mainly, obviously a grinding card, a going what is it? Yeah, what's that term? Shit. For the long game, right? I think that's the term. Nah, I don't think that's the actual term, but you get it. It's for when you're going for when you're going past turn 4, because usually you should win by turn 4. But if you're still in the game and the game is going past turn 4, then a card like this comes in handy to help you grind out the rest of the game. So definitely a fan. Then we got full mission accomplished. Active main, pay 2, remove this card from your drop from the game not warp, from the game. Choose up to 1 black battle card in your drop area or warp with an energy cost 7 or less and add to your hand. So you can get stuff like Mirror Creator Resorb, that we can use him, to obviously overall go tall, that kind of stuff. And this is just really good, especially if you have a mill a deck where you mill like like with the Jax or something, where the leader's bursting or milling, or if you just use this to combo and get it into a drop, and then use it to grab something that's in your drop that you used earlier and add it back to your hand, that kind of stuff. So it's a really good card, something always to consider, because you always need that ability. Grab something from your warp or your drop, especially in black. So it's definitely a must-have. Most of these cards are cheap. Obviously, but some aren't as cheap, but they are worth having. Since they're black, they could be used in any color, so black is definitely worth spending extra money on. Like, I spent $70 to get my Herons Lineage because it's generically good. So if you spread it throughout all the colors, you know, then it's almost like $10 per color, right? I could put this in red, $10, right? Put it in blue, $10, right? Put it in green, $10. Put it in yellow, $10. Put it in black, $10, right? Put it in a multicolored deck, $10. You get the idea. So probably around what, 12 to $13 technically. You get the idea. It's worth investing because it can be used in all the different colors. So it can be used in any deck. Therefore, it's worth getting it. Don't have to have it, but why not have it if you can afford it, right? Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. Unison. It has the -1 ability, which lets you play up to 2 skillless battle cards with energy cost of 1 from your drop or deck. Shuffle your deck if you look through it. So this helps you get extra bodies on board. It's a 10k already. So you could play this for 1 energy, swing with it because it's 10k, especially as soon as turn 1. Do its -1 ability, get 2 more 10ks out, swing with them. If you have some way of getting, making those those skillless 1 drop 10k battle cards to stronger attack power, like 20k or something, or 15k, definitely take advantage of that. But this is obviously really good because it helps you. One, helps you thin out your deck, right? Deck thinning, deck winning, right? As well as it helps you go really aggro. It lets any deck, regardless of color of the deck, go aggro because one, this is a black card, so obviously you can put it in any deck. The skillless battle cards you use for this can be any color, so it could be red. If you're playing a red deck, it could be green, blue, yellow, and so forth, right? There are black skillless battle cards, so so you can do that. Stay on brand, as they say. The fact is, it can get any color. If you play like a blue deck, but you want some green battle cards for some reason, right? Then this can get you the green skillless battle cards. So it has a lot of variety on how you can use it. The main thing is it's I treat it kind of like a triple attack, a 1 drop triple attack. Because you play it, swing with it, then do its -1, bring out 2 more attackers, attack with those. You get 3 attacks for 1 energy. Can't argue with them results, right? And this definitely was putting in a lot of work for me, over the years. So definitely should work for you. Let's look at them. They're adorable. It's Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. The babies. Alright, so we got Mirror, Dimensional Superpower. I got me a playset of this bad boy. It's nice because it's a unison version of Mirror Creator Resorb. Mirror Creator Resorb has the flex, which is nice, but it doesn't have barriers. So your opponent could, like I said, use Herons Lineage, for example, and steal it when you obviously try to go for game. So that could be a problem. So what's nice about this is that it's a unison version, so it'll be harder. You'll want to pay because there's a permanent that this card can't attack if it has 2 or fewer markers. So you pay 3 to play it, so it has 3 markers. Swing with it because it has a -2 active battle ability, which is nice that it's an active battle, not active main. So that way you pay 3, swing with it, then trigger its active battle. Pay -2 markers, so he'll have 1 markers, but since he already declared an attack, his permanent doesn't matter. And then for each card in your warp, this card gets 5k power for the battle. For the battle, not for the turn, but for the battle. But you only read it for the battle, right? Even though its base power is 15k, not 30k like Mirror Creator Resorb, but if you have enough, like I said, if you have like 20, cards in your warp, that's an extra 100k. So that make this 115k attacker, which is way more than enough power to out your opponent. Something to keep in mind. Most people probably already know this. I mean, this is kind of pretty basic idea, but it's like pay attention to your warp, right? Count your warp and compare it to your opponent's hand. So if your opponent has like 15 cards in their hands, you might want to have like 20 cards in your warp, right? Ish, right? Because or at least have, if they have 15 cards in hand, you want 15 cards in the warp. Because you're trying to compare, you're trying to assume that every card in the hand might be 5k combo power compared to all your cards in your warp, which will give you 5k for Mirror dimensional superpower and mirror create Resorb, so you want to keep that in mind. Something I sometimes think about, because I remember one time my opponent had 6 cards in the hand. I had cards, like, I played mirror create Resorb, I had 12 cards in the warp. You know, I was like, well, clearly I have double the amount of cards in my warp, so, you know, it'd be really hard for my opponent to be able to out combo and that kind of stuff. Something basic, most people might not know, and knowing's half the battle. Then we got Toa, Dimension, Dark Demon Realm Scientist. She has a permanent where she can't attack if she has 2 of your markers, so she has to have at least 3 in order to attack. She has an auto once per turn when one of your opponent's battle cards is removed from the battle area by a skill or KO'd. Add a marker to this card, which is nice for her to be able to gain a marker. And then she has a +0 ability. Choose 1 card from your hand, discard it. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 3 or less, and send it to the warp. So she has a way of getting rid of problematic battle cards. And this ability does trigger her auto, so she'll get a marker every time you use this effect. And then she has a -4 ability, which is the important ability, which is choose one of your opponent's battle cards and gain control of it. So another Toa that takes control. So we got Umbral Invitation that takes 3 or less. This takes anything, so it can take a Dark Broly card, right? Like the Dark Broly blocker, for example. This can take a lot of stuff. You could take SCRs. I've used this to take somebody's Baby Hachiyak. That was fun. So the ability to take your opponent's cards is always good. The ability to board wipe is always good. You may notice I didn't show a black card that board wipes. There are a couple, but there's not that many. Obviously, if they had a lot of black board wipes, then that means every color has board wipes, right? Because you can just throw the card into every deck. There is a Bardic Overwhelm 6 that kind of board wipes, so that's a thing. So that's a thing. That's what I'm saying. That's a thing. But obviously this is a really good card. She has a 20k body, so she'll stick on the board for a while, which is always nice. Another thing to keep in mind is before you use her -4 abilities, attack with her. She has a 20k body. Take advantage of that. Plus, try to bait out any negates or something like that with it. You know, she is a unison after all. And try to bait out any negates, blockers, whatnot, and then use her -4 and take something. So that way, you know, your turn is not that much of a waste. One to attack with her and then take something, because more likely you're going to take something in rest mode, so the thing you take you won't be able to attack with, so might as well attack with her first, then take something. Then we have Herons Lineage, which helps you take your this is a blurry image, but it lets you take one of your opponent's so active battle. If your opponent has 3 or more energy, choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 7 or less and gain control of it. So you're paying 1 energy to play this, and then you're taking control of something that's 7 costs or less, which is nice. And there's definitely a lot of good targets you to use that on. Definitely you will use it defensively. You can't use it offensively, of course, because you can't play it on your turn. You just gotta make sure your opponent has 3 or more energy, and then take their battle card and beat them with their own, battle card. Especially if the battle card is already in active mode, which is extra nice. This can be good in a situation. Let's say somebody arrivals on your turn. They arrival on your turn, and then you could be like, all right, cool. You arrival on my turn. Now I'm going to attack, like with the leader or something, and then trigger this to take your opponent's, arrival battle card. And then after your leader is done swinging and stuff, then you can swing at your opponent with their own arrival card. So it's a way of gaining an advantage that your opponent puts on board for you. It comes in handy in many ways. Some arrival battle cards, are blockers. They're obviously counter counterattack sort of thing. So if you attack, your opponent plays like a topo or something, being able to use this to steal the topo, you know, is nice. You might not want to attack to try to trigger this because you know you still gotta pitch 2 cards for topo before you can steal your opponent's topo, and they still have the effect. So if you attack with the topo, that's 2 more cards, right? So you don't want to do that, but you know it is something to consider, the fact that you can take your opponent's cards, especially let's say you did something and your opponent, you know, dropped a Golden Avenger on you with like the counterplay or the counter effect of the card. Then you can be like, alright, well, I'll swing with something, play this, take your Golden Avenger and swing at you with your own Golden Avenger, you know, 30k triple strike. So a lot of stuff like that. Like you can definitely steal a win, if you want to call it that way. You can snatch away victory from your opponent's hands and win the game yourself through this effect. It's a really good card, obviously, so not going to overhype it because you know it's a good card. Use it right at the right time and it will put in work. And that's the end of the video.